we do not have a product. All the things I told you about, issues of corruption, nepotism, and inability to analyze, the reason why we call our document rehabilitate. I thought somebody would ask that question. Why rehabilitate? We are very fond of spending money that we don't have, I might add, on new things. The phenomenon of white elephant projects. We spend lots of money on new things, whilst the things that are already there are collapsing. If you ask me, before I even think of a bullet train, I am going to worry about those kids that I see going to school sitting on the floor. I am going to worry about the hospitals where people go and die because there are no medicines. I'm going to worry about roads where people, those who are amongst you who are lucky to own a vehicle, are busting tires every so often because those roads are not maintained. That's where the money should go. Rehabilitate. Rehabilitate the infrastructure and make it functional. But admittedly, in the rehabilitation, you also modernize. You don't rehabilitate using old technology. You rehabilitate and modernize. So once we've done that, then you have to, before you worry about FDI, industries were already in this country. There are investors who are present who shut down their factories. So before I worry about attracting new money, I will engage the investors who are already in Zimbabwe and work with them to resuscitate the economy, industries, manufacturing. Personally, I also think that when you read our document, you will see that we talk about agriculture, we talk about mining, we talk about tourism. These three are very domestic. Mining is domestic. Tourism is domestic to some extent. You can actually form a much smarter regional tour loop. In other words, if I go from London and I come to Southern Africa, I may want to go to the sea in Mozambique and come to Wange to see animals. You understand? So there is a smarter way of integrating our economies. But largely, you can argue that tourism, mining, and agriculture are domestic. So, but we deal with industrialization very, very differently. For me, going forward, the first thing I would do when it comes to industry is sit down with my neighbors. And there are particular neighbors where history is on our side. If I talk to Mozambique, and I talk to Tanzania, and I talk to Zambia, and Malawi by virtue of where it lies, there is a rich history of the liberation struggle, which forms a foundation which we fail to use. These countries, they've got a natural empathy for each other. So we ought to be getting much smarter to integrate our economies and create an economy of scale. And let me illustrate in very definite ways. If I've got a Dunlop in Blawa, in this day and age, you do not build a Dunlop to service Zimbabwe only. It's not possible. No foreign investor will come and build a Dunlop to supply tires to 10 million people. And it's not even 10 million, because I don't think 10 million Zimbabweans have got cars. So they won't do that. But the minute I persuade Mozambique, Tanzania, Zambia, Malawi, and us, I leave the South because I think there are issues to sort out. I'm living in deliverable. But when I get these economies to come together and form an economy of scale, and I say to somebody, come and rebuild Dunlop to supply that market, all of a sudden it's a different proposition. It's a bigger market. But the catch is you cannot do it if you're selfish. Because rightly, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Zambia will say to you, Mr. Nkosana Moyo, why should I buy from you rather than wait to buy from China? It means the architecture of integration is to automatically take into account what you are going to buy in turn from them. I hope this is clear. It's very simple, it's not complicated. So when it comes to industrialization, we are not, and if you look at the way we've arranged our ministries, I think I've put in there state-owned enterprises, indigenization, and the regional integration. There is a logic to how we've clustered our ministries. I expect industrialization to take account of regional integration, so that we're creating economies of scale with more viable markets which are attractive to investors. But the sequencing, ladies and gentlemen, is you do not go selling a product that you don't have. At the moment, we do not have the product. So let's be honest to ourselves, let's introspect and develop the product which we can do, and then go and market it. Land, very important question. Our approach as APA is that there needs to be a land audit so that we know exactly where we're starting from. Secondly, we are going to introduce a land tax so that nobody can afford to sit on land speculating. Thirdly, we are going to make sure that people who own land have got title. I have to say that this issue is not a simple one, because to be fair, I've been told by other people who advise me. Who is the lady who said I don't listen? I actually listen. So, in fact, it's all veterans who brought this to my attention. They said, if you're not careful, if you give people title without a particular thought process and structure, what will happen in a very short space of time? There will be a reconsolidation. They'll just sell the land. So we will give people title, but there will be a structure around ownership of land in terms of marketability. So those are the three things we're going to do.
Follow-up question.
So you have to remind me, what was the question that, would I take a job? Don't they say once bitten, twice shy? So, I mean, you have to excuse me. I've got babanga, you understand, yeah? So, once bitten, second time you have to be quite careful and thoughtful. So, whilst I will not say absolutely not, what I think I can say, I will be much, much more careful in considering such a proposition.
Okay. Sorry.
So the question was, as the student wing of APA, have we engaged as NASU in Zukosu? The short answer is no. And I think it's obviously for the reason of some of the big political parties have sort of stamped they've owned some of these student initiatives. And I'm not so sure if it's part of their DNA, if it's how it's supposed to be formally, or it's how it has become. I know people at NASU are the ones who are organizers behind the generational consensus movement. And I guess another problem why we didn't engage them is we are not quite clear whether what ideologies they stand for. Do they stand for ideas, or they stand for someone? So we decided that we would not engage. So at the moment, our student agenda exists in within our party ecosystem. We don't have formal structures, but we have people at every state university. We don't have people at AU, or AU is not a state university, but we have people within different universities, but we don't have a formal presence in all those places. Within this network, we've managed to come up with some of the initiatives which Lala alluded to within the broader youth agenda, things like civic education projects, which we'll be running to make sure that as students, we are actively aware and informed about how the Constitution works, and all matters to do with public office. Other projects about attachment and work readiness, not just at tertiary level. Entrepreneurial training, having an entrepreneurial system led by young people for young people. So we'll be helping connect young people who are not connected, who have ideas or who have things which can be commercialized. But these are some of the projects which we have in the pipeline. And I guess we'll be happy to engage with any youth-driven body so long we have ideological inclination. We don't mind aligning with people from other parties, but it's a problem when those people are aligned with their person, not the principles. Okay.
Thank you. Nana, we're going to take one more round. I just wanted to add. We're going to take one more round. We're going to stop at 5. So we're going to take one more round. Just two comments on the students. In May 1968, the students of France changed the direction of that country forever. They were not affiliated to any political party. And then just recently in South Africa, ANC, EFF, DA students brought the country to a complete halt because they spoke about matters that mattered to students. They did not stand up and defend the ANC or attack the EFF. They talked about affordable education, decolonization of education. In other words, they focused on issues. This is possible in Zimbabwe. But it is only possible if the minds of the youth are moved from supporting an individual, as Tinashe just said, and are moving into the direction of working on issues. And this is something that we are working on. So I come back to the side. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Nkosana, and I'm a citizen. My question will be directed to the President. Mr. President, I have not heard your position as President of APA, as that of APA regarding gays and gay rights. I'll be interested to know your position.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nkosana. I'm a citizen. I heard from the gentleman said right there that APA has managed to field only 15 MPs. And I think according to our constitution, our provision for MPs is about 210. And don't you think 15 is a very, very small number?
Thank you.
I have 3 questions. The first question is directed to you, Mr. Albert. You mentioned something about the members of parliament and their duties, that their duties are mainly legislative. However, to the average Zimbabwean on the street, they are not as intellectual as other people may be. For example, there was a time when we were actually just going around and asking people about the duties of councillors and MPs and everything. And when we told them that the duties of an MP are mainly legislative, Makatanga Kubonga, if I may be sure. And when you say, well, but I'm not going to increase them up, or increase them, they said, yes, now you're talking and everything. So I wanted to ask you, how would you tackle the issue of like that mindset that the people have? And then the other 2 questions I have are directed to the President from someone. The first one says, who makes up your presidium? That's the first question. And then the second question was, who are the females that are in your team and what are their designations?
Thank you. Sir, for the last question.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Tafire. I'm a citizen. I've got one question. My question is centered on the one center of power, which I think is responsible for most of our problems. Within our constitution, I think one center of power is also enforced. Within our constitution, we do not have a mandatory requirement to be democratic for political parties. I think that's where we are allowing the one center of power to groom and affect us. My question is, what is APA's position on destroying the one center of power by legislating political parties to make sure that they are properly democratic?
Thank you.
Am I good?
Thank you. So let's start with the MP question. We'll do another round. We'll finish at 5. So let's start with the Member of Parliament question. Remember, we speak about rehabilitate Zimbabwe. So it's an evolutionary process. In our manifesto, you see we talk about 0 to 24 months, 0 to 12 months, 12 to 24 months respectively. So it's evolutionary. Now, if you go to Zambia and you look at their education curriculum, they've got a thing that they call civic education. In short, it's called civics. Every young Zambian person from the 60s, plus the national service, from the 60s knew there was a war of liberation in Southern Africa. And every young Zambian would sometimes contribute. In Nigeria, it was 50 cents, the local equivalent of 50 cents for university students. 50 cents to the struggle against apartheid in Nigeria. That is why those people are so politically conscious, you can believe it, and so confident. Because they went through an education process that made them aware of what it means in terms of Pan-African solidarity. In Zambia, it's a subject called civics, where school children are taught, they are taught on what the legislature is, what judiciary is, what the executive is, what separation of power means. So that when Zambia got its change from Kaunda, we didn't have chaos. Kaunda obliged, stepped down. I can tell you a little anecdote, little story. When Zambia was a suffering economy, suffering that we can't believe, a collapsed economy like today, the Zambians used to come here. You remember those days? Yeah? And we accused them of poaching our rhinos, remember? Xenophobic, right? When our economy collapsed, we started going to Zambia to go and shop there. There was an incident in Lusaka at their equivalent of road ports. They call it the intercity bus terminals. The cops came and were chasing Zimbabweans around. The Zambian vendors said, leave them alone. These are the people that helped us when we were in trouble. And the vendors in competition with Zimbabwean vendors selling Mazoi. The vendors in Zambia defended our vendors. It is a consciousness. It doesn't have to be intellectual. Street level consciousness. Last example, Frelimo. The consciousness of Frelimo, of Mozambicans. If you go into a village, those of you who like to go on holiday to Mozambique, you drive through villages, and you speak to the villagers, the level of consciousness, ideology, what it means, because of Samora Machel, and the way he articulated these issues, and spaced repetition, repeat, there was a change in the consciousness of the minds of the people. So it can be done. We need to wean our people of depending on this big member of parliament. He comes once in 5 years. I know one MP in this country, I won't mention his name, who donated cattle, Haifa project in Matland. If you vote for me, development. He lost the election and took away the cattle. Criminal. So that is the response.
Actually, I like this example. I think this was not criminal. I think that was good. It was good because it has to start teaching us something. Vote for the right thing, not because we've been bribed. Because we're talking about corruption. What is that? I give you cattle, then you vote for me. That is corruption. I told you, we are inclined as a society towards corruption. We don't recognize it. When it happens, we put it into a different category, but it's no more than corruption. That's what it is. Sorry, I didn't answer your question in the last round. So your question was, people are impressed, as you say, but they say, but in our current politics, can you win? I think with all due respect to Zimbabweans, that's not my question to answer. That's not even my problem. I, as a concerned Zimbabwean, have offered myself because I think I can do this job. I've offered myself. It's up to Zimbabweans to choose. It's up to Zimbabweans to choose. Beyond that, there is not much else I can do. All I can do is offer an alternative, explain it rationally. Like I keep saying, if you are in this building here, we all know that if something were to go wrong with the electricity, you go and look for an electrician to fix it, right? We know it, we do it every day. If the plumbing went wrong, you don't go to the electrician, you go to a plumber to fix it. What we seem to be doing in this country is that We fought a war and we needed soldiers to fight that war. Fair and square. We move away from that. Now we want to build an economy. We keep going back to soldiers. What sense is it? Once we're on that point, incidentally, have you ever thought why Zimbabwe managed to get such a good education system? Zimbabwe managed to get a good education system because Mugabe was a teacher. Mugabe understood education. And with all his faults, we can all concede that he got that bit sorted out because he understood it. What puzzles me now is that the annual constitution, that is not very, by the way, but we want to put a lawyer in place. Is that what we want? I thought what we wanted to do was fix any economy.
Yes.
Somebody who understands how industry works. Somebody who understands how finance works. So why are you going to get a plumber to fix the electrical system? I mean, I hear your question, but it's not for me to answer. It's for Zimbabweans to answer. Yeah?
There was a misunderstanding. Mine was on the media that is focusing, that is being captured to say only two news,
but it's part of our society. The media is part of. I hear you, but all I'm also saying is it's not for me to answer. Yeah, I mean, I must say that in our campaigning, incidentally, our experience on the ground and our interaction with the media has not been as bad as it's painted. That's the honest truth. Even with the official system like the police, we've only ever had a problem once. Our style is that wherever we go, first thing we do is report to a police station. We tell them, we are in your neighborhood, we're going to be talking to people, distributing our materials, but we wanted you to know. And in every single case except in Budiriro, every single case, they take our details and they say, go do your business. So our experience, I think I would be lying if I told you something different. Our experience has been more positive than you think. And then, as we engage with people, what tends also to happen, without exception, they've even developed an expression for it. They want you to buy something. They want you to give them something. And my attitude is very simple. Yeah, very simple. But we engage, I think, very politely. There is no impoliteness about it. So I have to give it to Zimbabweans that whilst we may be ambivalent about what happened in November, Zimbabweans have, I think, risen up to the challenge to fill the space of engaging, most of them, I think, in civil conversation. They don't have to agree with you. They push back. They give you their own views. But I think that's okay. That's healthy. So, yeah, it's part of our growing up. Let me ask about gay rights. Yes. Do you remember what happened in Uganda? You do. So, Parliament in Uganda went through democratic processes and decided they were not going to support gay marriages. And then what happened? Do you remember? Do you know the case already? So what happened is very illustrative of how careful we ought to be about our interface with the rest of the world. And I tell the truth as it is. I'm not going to darken that. Firstly, if we believe in democracy, it is not our place to pronounce on gay rights. It's a parliamentary issue. You can propose a bill in Parliament, and Parliament must discuss and say yes or no, whether they legislate or not. That's what happened in Uganda. When that happened, the Western world then said, we're not going to give you aid. because Uganda had said, through a parliamentary process, no less, we do not support gay marriages. They were then penalized for it. At the same time, the UK was still debating through its own structures the same thing. At the same time, in the US, in the military, this issue was still, you know that Trump has reversed it. Okay? So what I want you to be sensitive to is that you should be careful of us not running our countries in mimicry. Let's not mimic other people. Let's refer to what we, our societies, at this point in time, believe. Our societies, in a democratic way. So don't give powers up. So it's something that you need to watch out for. If Zimbabwe today, incidentally, executed somebody, not that I believe we should, there would be an outcry, especially in the Western world. But at the same time, many states in the US up to today, they've got the death penalty. And nobody makes a noise about it. So ladies and gentlemen, just be sensitive about mimicry. Let's evolve our own society. Let's interrogate our own issues and the way we want to position ourselves, but always paying attention to the interests of our people. Our people. Okay? There was a question about 15 legislators as being too small. Remember my reference point. My reference point was that I was going to run as an independent. My view, incidentally, let me take a step back. Our democracy today is poorer because we have not been smart enough. You know, all along, if we had made sure, when it was just a two-party system, if we had made sure that the party winning the presidency was not the party winning the majority in parliament, we would not be where we are. So, why is it that you get so fixated with saying if you are president, you must also have a majority in parliament? It's, at the same time, you ask me about 1 cent of power, but yes, that's what you're agitated for. It is not healthy. If we could structure it, the president should not have a majority in parliament. That would make our democracy work. That's my view. So I think having a minority in parliament, if I'm president, is not a train smash. It forces us to listen to each other. It forces us not to run the country for a party. It forces us to run the country for the people. There was a question, I think, which was sent in, a couple of questions about the presidium and the females in the structures of power. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are not fixated about this. Firstly, factually, a running mate is only necessary in 2023. President Mugabe and President Morgan Tsvangirai at the time did a deal and decided that running mates were not necessary until 2023. Okay? So I actually do not have to have a VP at the moment. Does it mean I won't have a VP? No, it doesn't mean that. But I'm not going to be stampeded into that position either. Because let's learn some lessons. Why do you think that there's been such controversy about Joyce Njulu and Nkosana? What we need to understand is that a VP is a president. You cannot rush and appoint somebody into that position, and then when the opportunity arises for them to rise to the first position, you say, no, they can't do it. So when the day you say you are my VP, it means you are president. Because if I go under a bus or whatever, that person is president. So a VP has to have the characteristics of being able to walk into the presidency and follow it. So we are not and in terms of women, we again told you, APA started in July. We are building our structures. We don't have a balance as yet, but we are absolutely committed. What is also happened incidentally, I do not know how many people in this audience, so I'm going to put my foot in it, but I think I should. When we started, we had a conversation about female involvement in politics. And then some people told me that I needed to have a meeting with women only to discuss the issue. So I did. We had a meeting with young women as to why it appeared there was a reluctance of women to get involved. What I was told, and this is not coming from me, it came from the young women who were in that conference. They said, firstly, our society actually does not support them coming into politics. The families will support boys getting into politics, but not girls getting into politics. So there is a societal problem because of patriarchy, which you should not be putting at the feet of power. Our society requires us to work at it and get women to feel that they've got every right to get involved in this. All of us have to work at it. The other thing that has happened is that I've noticed that educated people, how can I put this delicately? Educated people are cowards.
Yes.
Yeah? But if you want to be polite, educated people have got a heightened sense of risk management. So the day I win, if I approach them, they'll come running. You are now president, of course they'll do it. But when they are not sure whether you can win, they don't want to be seen yet. That's a fact, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what is going on. Educated people, they've got this heightened sense of risk management and risk avoidance. Or if you want to be, you don't want to be politically correct, you just say it as it is. We educated people are cowards. Yeah. Let's see what else was there. One set of power. Who asked one set of powers? Over there. I am actually not sure that I understood you correctly. In this country, our constitution provides for 3 arms to, yeah, we've got the executive, we've got the judiciary, and we've got the legislative. The thing that has corrupted how those things work is precisely because when you, let's say you've got a ZANU president, and the majority in parliament are ZANU, they don't understand how different their roles are. The people in parliament think their job is to support the president. The answer is no. That is not their job. Their job actually is to hold the executive to account. But they don't. It's not the fault of the constitution. It's we have corrupted the system. Because they want to be made ministers, so they don't want to be nasty to the president. That's what's happening. It's not constitution.
Okay. Definitely the last round of questions, and with our thanks, I'm going to give them to the ladies, starting with the lady at the back behind here.
Hello.
Let's, yeah.
What can we do as a government to bridge the intergenerational gap?
Okay, please repeat that.
What can we do as Zimbabweans to bridge the intergenerational gap?
Okay. Next lady.
I just wanted to make a comment that I am a citizen, very aware citizen, and I know that a lot of people have problems understanding this concept. I drove all the way from Bulawayo because I love this idea of being able to meet a young party that is unable to field more than the number of candidates that this party is actually fielding. If they had fielded 35, I would have been asking now where they got them, because they've not had the time to invest in people so that they have enough leaders amongst themselves to be able. I think they're just lucky to be a small party with such a good candidate for president and hopefully good candidates for the 15 that they fielded. So I wanted to say a lot of people who have a part is because they're scared to vote for a president from this part and then an MP from here and a councillor from there on the same ballot paper. This is the only opportunity, I think, maybe the first, maybe there'll be many, for Zimbabweans to actually do that. It's the opportunity that Zimbabweans have, and they should grab it, to vote for the right president for what needs to be done in the presidium, to vote for the right MP. So I come from Bulawayo Central. very lucky because there, this small party is not fielding anybody. So I have the opportunity to vote for the president I want to fix the economy, and an opportunity to vote for an MP who is an independent, whom I've heard articulate issues, because I don't want, forgive the example, Echinoti representing me in parliament. So I've got a very bold, young person that I'm voting for MP in Bulai Central, because I've had him articulate very difficult issues in spaces where he shouldn't have been. And then for councillor, I'm still making up my mind. So I just wanted to say this while people are still itching with questions. Don't be afraid to make the right choice because you can. The ballot paper belongs to you. The ballot box is as secret as you make it.
Thank you. I've got a suggestion for you for councillor for Bulawayo Central. Sitting right here.
Okay, so my name is Moyo. I actually follow him on Twitter.
You're very active on Twitter.
I'm a very big fan. So mine is not a question, but it's just a comment to say I think it's actually very sad because I'm 43. So I think I'm sort of, in the midlife crisis. So I think I'm looking back where we're coming from and sort of thinking what the kind of Zimbabwe I want my kids to live in. So just want to encourage him. Well, I call him Kulube actually. I actually want to encourage him. I think he's on the right path. I'm not so sure if everybody else out there really understands his vision. I think I do, because I think he's sort of saying, we don't have to be stuck in the past. But we can learn from the past and then use what we have now to get the future that we want for our kids. Because I'm a parent of teenagers, so you start asking yourself these questions as you grow older. So just to encourage him, say it doesn't matter if people don't think you're just nice, you're not the right person, because at least he has my vote, definitely.
Thank you. I'll explain to you later what Kulube means. A very good thing. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Please can you explain, Mr. President, I heard you talk about property rights, but I thought there was a contradiction, and I think that's why the present government and the previous one has been stuck. Because title deeds mean just that. You can do whatever you want with the property, you can sell to whoever you want to, but at the same time you're talking about restrictions. So how does that work? There's a contradiction there.
Okay, I think that's the last question that we'll take. That will be the last question that we'll take. I'll have to be the unpopular guy, which is fine, unless I'm overruled by the president, but that's the last question.
So the first one was a question of intergenerational gap, how to bridge. I actually think that does not need to be bridged. Part of what we don't understand is that in nature, balance exists because of constructive tension. There is nothing wrong with intergenerational tension. Movement happens because tension momentarily produces a misbalance on one. In fact, let me illustrate. In order for you to walk, you have to create instantaneous imbalance. When I stand on one foot, I'm not in the most balanced position. In order to walk, I have to lift a foot, and you know what I mean? So, but don't look at tension as such as something that is undesirable. Advance actually only ever happens because of tension in a system. What we do not want, however, is destructive tension. In other words, if it gets too far out of kilter, then it's unproductive. That's when you get catastrophic things like earthquakes and the like. It's beyond what stays within the bounds of constructiveness. But intergenerational tension is what makes young people help older people to change their minds. It was also, incidentally, helps younger people to check their ambitions when they could cause problems. It comes from that tension. So that's a healthy issue. We nurture it rather than manage it away. Okay? Property rights, you're right that it sounds like a contradiction. But I think in life often, there is no perfect solution. When you can see that It's necessary to do something, but that unless you put what you call mitigating measures, the outcome actually will not be what you set out to do. So if we give land to our people, and our people, because of poverty, take that land and sell it all, I'm sure that's not the result we want. So the restriction is insofar as it mitigates a result that we know we do not want. Yeah? That's really what, it's a measure which is not perfect, but I think it's a necessary measure as a mitigating intervention to make sure that we don't end up exactly where we started from. Yeah?
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to formally close the evening and allow those who still have questions to come and engage with Dr. Nkosana directly or with any of the team. What we need to do, first of all, though, is to really, really, really thank you for making the time to come here and spend time with us to look at the solutions for our dearly beloved country, but also to ask you that if you like what you heard, then to do the right thing. To go and convince friends and family. Back in the 60s, seven guys crossed the river, came into Chinoi, knowing that the chances of them going back to Zambia were between 0 and 0. And they still fired the first salvo for the liberation war, and today we are liberated. We need a new liberation mind, and we ask you to please, if you like what you heard, if you didn't like what you heard, you must still go and say you didn't like what you heard. But if you loved what you heard, make time to speak to 10 people and ask them to speak to you. Next thing is, if there are any persons who also like what they heard and would like to volunteer to join the campaign, the young man in the dapper suit, please could you come and speak to Tinashe if you want to volunteer for the campaign. I will tell all the CIO guys to turn around so they don't see you. So, thank you very much. We're closing for tonight. Feel free to come forward and speak to Dr. Moyo. And we hope to see you at the elections with your families, with your friends, for a new, rehabilitated Zimbabwe. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Chief.
Sorry. Those who are driving, if you are driving, your car lights are on. Corona ATG car lights on. And Impreza lights on as well. Impreza
Ngaqalisa nento yama-parastatals. Emfesibuleli ilizwe lethu lama-parastatals wona lawo ukuthi sifaka abantu abangakwazi umsebenzi emsebenzini wakhona. Nxa kumbe ngabantu abakho kumbe ngabazukulu besibanika umsebenzi abangawaziyo. Nxa sifuna ukuthi ama-parastatals ethu asebenze kumele sidinga abantu abakufundelayo ukufuna kwenziwa. Into ye-corruption simele sivele singayivumeli ukuthi ibe khona. Umntanakho angayenzi corruption kumele umeke la ejele ukuthi ilizwe lethu lilungiseke.
This is so, Mr. President.
Can I just say hello to you? Can I go?
You gave me my voice. Explaining things the way you have explained them.
I've got one issue that's really at the center of my heart, and I really want to know what's your take on it. is the issue of non-renewable resources in Zimbabwe and their management against the indigenization policy. Not preempting what I think the indigenization policy is about, whether I believe in it or not. But I would like to know, your president, what will its position be regarding indigenization and the management of non-renewable natural resources?
But it's I hear you, but it should not be
Mind
when Zimbabwe feel they've got no food in economy, they can destroy the economy. We ought to go to other countries. In Malaysia, I think it was in 78, there were riots in Kuala Lumpur. And what they found was that humans could have destroyed all of Kuala Lumpur and was nothing. That's how come Mahathir was then able to persuade businessmen of Chinese origin to allow indigenization as a manner of the way of protecting themselves. You create more people with something to lose if you can protect yourself. It's insurance. So for me, indigenization is not debatable. It has to happen. The only thing we can debate is what is the appropriate premium. That's all. In other words, when you say, Nkosana, you come with $100 into my country, I'm going to take 51 of them and they give them to indigenous people. Do I consider that as a reasonable premium or not? That's not the debate. Indigenization is a policy. It's a necessity and it makes sense. So I think the issue of exhausting non-renewable resources is not a question of us as Zimbabwe, it's about the globe as a whole. But it's also about who gets the benefit. And in many ways, yes, it is linked to indigenization. If lithium is extracted from it as a raw material, no value add, and then goes somewhere else, using cell phones or whatever, and then we buy it at 10-fold what we got for it. That is renewable. It's just what we call terms of trade. So we, as Zimbabwe, together with our neighbors, need to find a mechanism for creating an economic scale for us to invest in value addition, in the value addition chain to beneficiate the material. So whether it's renewable or not is not the issue. Our technical chain and even iron ore, what we do is invest in. Yeah? So, but we can't do it as a number. We need to cluster together, integrate our economies, to create a viable domestic market so that we can value add.
I will go back to the what is happening from we all know that right now the biggest market for promise China. Why are they the biggest market? Because our country now they import very big reserves still in China, and there's no doubt that in the next 5 to 10 years, 20 years, the only school in the world will be coming from China and the next 20 years from Zimbabwe. And right now, what are we having left in millions where we've got much of our crop?
But you know what? Again, I go back to corruption. You find that either corruption or ignorance are there. So it's lack of meritocracy, putting people in positions that they understand how well works, or corruption. Because our people are the ones who do deals that give them money at a personal level, not the country. Or they just do not know how to structure business. So by addressing corruption and addressing meritocracy, we deal with all those issues.
But what would be your policy regarding such abuse, or would I say abuse? No, I would call it, you know how I would call it abuse? Because when I went to farm,
what I want you to understand let someone come and take advantage of us. Either we facilitate it. I bet you today, if you did an audit on how many Chinese are in this country, you'd be astounded.
There is money from it. It's our fault. It's not our fault. Which is why I want to know what is our regarding such environment or the technical of such resources that are not employed. Let me know right now if you are going to mind of all the problems must have done in the next 5 years you're not going to do. But again, I think your focus on the non-renewable element wrong. The point you are reaching, are we getting fair value for anything we do other people? And the answer is, in most cases, the answer is no. But the reason why it's no is because of these two issues, corruption or ignorance. So for me, when I address those things, I address the issue. When there is no corruption and when there is no ignorance, because I'm the president, people know. These things will not happen. They will not happen. But the depletion will still happen. But at least what will then happen is we as a country don't have value for what we do. Yeah, that's it. And do you believe there's a kind of strategy that says we regulate how much we can trade on the